For those of you not familiar with Hacktoberfest, it's something that apparently DigitalOcean hosts every year, and it's a way to give back to the open source community. And it's they try to gamify it by getting different badges and having different guides for beginners to open source contributions. And the first 10,000 contributors that get 6 pull requests merged to a qualifying repository, and the pull request itself is qualifying, they'll get a Hacktoberfest t-shirt, which I think is pretty cool because that's like, some aura for open source contributions and stuff like that. And also, this is going to be really good for making this type of content. I've been a big consumer of open source projects, and I have not done nearly enough contributing, and I love open source software. So this is another reason for us to get involved, and I'm going to document my entire process. I've never had a pull request submitted to a large repository and had it merged. So personally, this is going to be a goal of mine as well. And I'm hoping that at the very least we'll have some stories for this Hacktoberfest for October of 2025. And ideally, we'll get that sick-ass t-shirt. But either way, we'll document us on the ride, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I've already registered for Hacktoberfest. In order to do that, you'll go to hacktoberfest.com, and you can just sign in with your GitLab or GitHub account. And then they have some guides here on the rules and all that kind of thing. They mention in here that the repositories need to be in line with the Hacktoberfest values. That's the only issue that I see, and I don't even see that being an issue really, because I don't see open source being that big of a platform for that kind of thing. But something to keep a look out for anyway. And other than that, it seems pretty straightforward. So we have to do a high quality pull request because there's going to be somebody that actually reviews this. And in order to find projects that qualified, I'd already had a bit of an issue. So what I ended up coming up with was doing a search that includes all of the tags that are needed. So this good first issue is a tag that is fairly common in open source repositories. And the other tag that this one has is Hacktoberfest, Hacktoberfest accepted, and then the regular Hacktoberfest. So they're like really big proponents of this. It looks like, and I just found them from a Google, not from a Google search, from a GitHub search. And the GitHub search that I found was basically any issue that's open and that has a good first issue. And I think at one point I had, this is in this repository itself. The search will look the same if you're doing it outside of a local repository. You'll just have to include the tag Hacktoberfest. And it looks like that's going to be the easiest way to get a pull request counted towards the event. And it doesn't disqualify a repository if you get a pull request merged within a certain amount of time and they didn't originally have that tag. You can ask one of the maintainers to add the tag later and you can still get it done. But this seems like a lower barrier to entry to getting that done since they already have it set up. So far, this has been my progress that I've found. I don't know if this will be a contribution that I end up making, but it seems like it is a low barrier to entry. They're set up for Hacktoberfest. They've got these issues for good first issues. It's actively maintained. The last issue here was open 9 minutes ago. Hopefully I can get in and snag that one and just start the process. And I'm just going to document this the entire way. So far, I've just found this repository. It's looks like I don't know, it's some chess club something. I don't know. It looks like it's mainly set up for open source contributions, particularly for beginners and stuff like that. So we're going to take advantage of that and document it, and I will let you know what we end up getting pulled, and after we review the contributing.md file to make sure we do everything correct for this repository and any other hiccups or any other weird stuff that we run into. Otherwise, I will check back in just a moment. Okay, so I'm actually streaming as we're doing this, and our esteemed colleague, Hungry Hippo, has found the Ruby for Good organization, which I've heard of before, but definitely not as familiar with them as I'd like to be. They're like a nonprofit, or they build software for nonprofits, it looks like, and they're participating in this. They have the Hacktoberfest. This is like for a good cause. This is helping middle school age kids get into software development, or not software development, but to keep them in the school system, and it helps track incentives and stuff like that. So this seems like a really cool project to contribute to, and so it checks all the boxes. It's in our bread and butter, Ruby, and this looks like something we can feel good about, something that we can do substantive. And so the first issue that it looks like here that I found, and it has a help wanted tag on it, is pretty straightforward. Apparently in this application, this situation here, they need this changed, some styling or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this in locally, get the app running, and see if we can emulate this situation here that this issue is demonstrating. And if we can, we'll fix it, merge a pull request with everything else, and track it. And this is also a really good exercise for anybody that hasn't been in a professional environment where the process of carrying out work is totally foreign to you. This mimics very closely what 80% of the workflow is going to be when you join a company that is having you write code, or if you're a project manager even, this stuff is going to be pretty much the same. So it's really, really good exposure to get, and I highly recommend in the current, especially in the current job market where things are extremely competitive, any kind of edge that you can gain is worth it. And so I'm eating the dog food that I'm shilling and doing the same thing here. So looks like we found something good for our first pull request at least, and I'm going to go ahead and get this app running. Hopefully, once I do, I'll go over what the process took for that, and then we'll pick up from there. All right, so we have the repository cloned and have it locally here. It looks like they have a Docker setup for at least the developer environment, which is great. So I'm really hoping that we can really lean on that and just have the Docker image build and get all that stuff set up. And hopefully these helper methods work pretty well. I have pretty high hopes because it looks like this repository is very well maintained. And, that's another thing. You don't want something that's obscure because you're going to spend a bunch of time contributing to something that may never ever get merged. And I have pretty good confidence that this should be a relatively easy experience for fixing this and actually getting something in. So I'm really excited. But so far, this is the process in the middle of building their Docker files here, just from the docker compose up command in the root directory. So I will check in once the app is actually built, it looks like, but doing my best of documenting this as we go. After some hunting, we were having a little less luck finding something at least right away, and I want to make sure that we can get at least a few pull requests in. I know we have the whole month of October, but I wanted to get at least 2 in. So in the same repository here, the stocks in the future for the Ruby for Good organization, there's a issue for removing the student show page. And since we saw in the, I don't have the app up and running anymore, but you saw it's just a basic CRUD app, and this student model doesn't need a show page because that's what they're expressing here. So we went through and removed all of the controller actions. There was only one, I believe, that we needed to remove, and then there were 2 different routes that we needed to remove that were being sent to that controller, I believe. And then we removed the view and updated the test. We just removed the different instances where it was requesting the path that was just removed from the routes and all that kind of thing. So don't really need to go through all that, but we tested. We're getting a bunch of deprecation warnings in here, but the entire test suite is passing. So I already have the repository forked, so I'm going to push this branch as well. And hopefully we can do 2 for 2 on this repository here and try to mix it up a little bit. Maybe we'll do a different language, like we're looking at another project in Go that we might look into a little bit more. But again, this is the easiest so far that I've found. So wanted to at least get these out there, and we can go from there. I'll push these, and hopefully Pauly G or another one of the maintainers will at least comment on it. Let us know if we need to make any changes, but there is a little bit more involved with this as well. So kind of exciting, making progress. We'll go heads down, and I'll see you in the next little clip. Okay, so we just got our very first pull request submitted. Hopefully it will get through. It was a very simple one. We just had to, I made a mistake. I cloned this repository first, and I actually needed to fork the repository to my own repository so that I could have the right access to push the branch that I made the changes on. So that was just a silly mistake on my part. But other than that, everything else was pretty straightforward. Their README for getting started seemed to work. The thing that I forgot to read was the database setup here. So I just had to follow that. But that was a me problem, not a them problem. The seeds all worked. We got it all running. And this is the application running with the seed data. So our change is shown here. This was so simple. We just had to add some Tailwind class names for this element here, which is in classic Rails format here. That's all this is just a Rails app. It's in views, classrooms, and then the index page here. They're using the link helper. And I noticed that they were using Tailwind because actually I noticed it in the dev tools because I went to the element that we would need and I saw that the CSS was coming from Tailwind. So that let me know immediately that everything should be set up to have it work. And I just went ahead and tried it, saved it, refreshed it, and now we have a pretty clear indication that this is a link and can be clicked, which satisfies the acceptance criteria, I would say, for this ticket. And yeah, that was dead simple. So that is the first pull request down, hopefully, and we'll see how that goes. But so far, that is in the repository now. The pull request is shown here. You can see that it is from the odd job repository, and my branch here, I may have goofed up a little bit by not including the issue name somewhere that it needed to be in order to automatically associate this pull request to the issue. So I just added the issue number here in a comment on the pull request, and that automatically linked it up here. So this should get on the contributors' radar, and hopefully we'll get merged and we'll knock out a few more. So dead simple, very cool stuff. Anybody that has an opportunity to do this, these tickets are going to be laid out for you, I think, if you know where to search. And the Ruby for Good organization seems to be a gold mine for all of that. You get to feel good doing it because it's all for good stuff. And there's a lot of easy stuff that you can do and tackle and get the experience. So I will check in once I find the next ticket that looks appetizing and go from there. But so far, one down in like less than 15 minutes from not even knowing at all how to do any of this. Granted, I do have a background in coding and stuff, but I've never participated in something like this. So don't be intimidated to do these kinds of things. Just put yourself out there and go out on the branch. That's where the fruit is. Hopefully Jamba Juice doesn't sue me because I think that's their trademark. But yeah, I will go heads down now looking for the next issue and see you guys in just a second. Okay, so a few weeks have passed by since our last Hacktoberfest video. It's currently 10:24. We have exactly 1 week left to get our remaining 4 pull requests in. And I'm trying to give this the attention here that it needs to get over the finish line. I just wanted to share the hardest part has been finding a repository that looks like it has a issue that was created by a maintainer that can be correlated to your pull request actually getting merged, right? There's an endless amount of open source projects that you can add features to or actually take on the bug requests and stuff like that. And you can go through the process of forking the repository, adding your changes, and then opening your pull request. But what I see happen all the time is these pull requests just sit stale and dormant. And since we're kind of on a time crunch here, we need to make sure that there's some activity in the repositories that we're committing to. So what I came up with is this scheme here for actually being able to search for stuff that I'm looking for. I'm pretty strong with my Ruby skills, and I'm looking for just simple issues, right? So want to make sure that we're looking for entries that are an issue, that are open, that don't have an assignee, that are in the language that we're looking for, and that have been created at least a week ago. We don't want any issues older than that because they might be stale and we might be wasting our time. As an added bonus, we're adding the label good first issue, so that hopefully we can knock this out and have a few pull requests in to make sure that we reach the 6 pull request goal. As you can see on our profile here, we have 2 out of 6 from the first 2 Ruby for Good. We have a few requests for getting assigned issues on some of those repositories and a few other ones that I found as well. But the one that we're going to look into next is a new repository to me called Fubara. So this looks like I'll just read the about. It's a command-centric and discoverable software framework that abstracts away integration code. So I watched the video on it, and it looks like this is a take on like service objects and trying to abstract that kind of pattern away into something that follows this command-centric approach. But it's really not super relevant for the issue because we have something pretty simple. So I saw this is a good first issue. It actually got created an hour ago as of the time of recording this. I asked the maintainer if I can go ahead and take a crack at this and if he would be okay adding the Hacktoberfest topic. He looks like he didn't know about Hacktoberfest, and now he does. So that's kind of a cool thing. Maybe that'll help bring in some newcomers that can help with other issues and stuff. That's what all this is about. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. This require project file needs to be replaced with require relative, but there's a caveat that we might run into an issue where if we're requiring files that are in a different directory or a different project, that might be problematic. So we're going to take a different approach here, and Cursor just recently released their plan feature, and one of our esteemed viewers of the stream recommended that we go through and try to have Cursor lead the way with actually getting this done. So we'll have them look up the issue. I've already forked this repository, so we'll open it up in Cursor, show the issue to Cursor in the plan mode, and we'll see what happens. So from the forked repository here, you can see this is in the oddjob repo now. We'll go ahead and clone this repository. So we'll go ahead and copy this here. Mine is actually going to look a little bit differently because I have a couple of SSH identities, so I have to use this, I believe. But it will just be git clone, and then we should be able to cd into that. And we'll go ahead and connect via WSL to that folder. Okay, and we're just going to copy the issue in there and say, I'm trying to work on this issue for Hacktoberfest. Please guide me on, or actually, how does this work with plan? Please look into the details of the issue, specifically the maintainer's note, and update the code base as needed. I don't know. I've never done this before, so let's see what that does. Okay, so this looks pretty cool. I don't know. This I'm going to have to go through what it created here, but this is pretty interesting. So since this is a markdown file, I guess you can, I was just told that you can edit this before you approve it. So I guess I should actually read all of this here. I guess this looks right. They're just going over each file that has this pattern currently that they're using, require project file, and we're just going to convert that to require relative. Should be pretty straightforward, a very pattern-based kind of thing that it should go off of. So this looks promising. Let's go ahead and hit the build button. It's supposed to be done, I guess. So let's do a git diff, or git status rather. Holy moly, okay. That's funny. The refactoring is complete and ready for Hacktoberfest. Okay, already we're getting an issue.
Mail, motherfucker!
Yo, Jibo, what up, baby? Welcome to the dojo, my man. I'm just gonna paste the entire outcome here. Before I start to look into this, I'm gonna try to give this a real shot at trying to fix it. All right, the test suite passed. Let's run the linter. I gotta be honest, having this run terminal commands is kind of scary, but we've got quite a bit here. Let her rip, tater chip. Okay, so we'll put 30 in there. That will link the issue to the pull request easier, I think. Okay, we've got that on our repo now. There we go. Yep. So it's going to base it off of Fubara main from here and my repository and my branch on this so I can keep it organized. Very cool stuff. And then, yeah, it linked that repository, or excuse, it linked that issue. And I'll just give this a review. Okay, yeah, it looks straightforward. Looks good. And the test suite passed, so we know we're good there. Okay, so the pull request is open. We see it here on Fubara. And it's just a matter of them being able to merge this in. So I would consider that a great success. I mean, this was a pretty simple thing here to do, but very interesting. I think this is a great testament to how any developer at any stage can get familiar with this new AI stuff, particularly Cursor and kind of the AGI approach, I guess, is what it's starting to become. So that was pretty cool. It looks like that will work, and I'm excited to get that merged. I will check in with the next thing that we start to crank on. We were just assigned our next issue here from the Ruby for Good Stocks in the Future repository, and it looks like we're going to be changing up some information that is displayed in this table here. So we asked for permission, we got the approval, and we're going to go ahead and dive into this. So the first thing that I had to do here, since I already had this repository forked in my account, I had to go down here and synchronize the fork so that I can get the most updated version of main. And I then pulled that into my local version of the application on main. And this is where I will branch off for the changes that I will then push to my repository, open up a pull request for against ultimately the main branch on the Ruby for Good side of things. And then hopefully this will be our fourth pull requests that we can get merged into the Hacktober event. We have 5 days left, so we need to boogie on this, and we are 2 plus 1 in review, so I'm hoping this one will be number 4, and then we'll just have 2 more to knock out, and yeah, that's basically it. So I will get heads down on this. I'm going to go ahead and use that planning feature again in Cursor, and let's see if I can get some more mileage out of that, and we will go from there. I will check in just a moment. Okay, so we just got this done, I think. This is as it stands right now. We had to figure out what was going on and how this works. It looks like they're using a gem called Administrate in order to generate these tables. So the change was not super intuitive. I did have to go back and forth with Cursor a little bit. The original plan did not exactly work, and it was starting to get out of hand, so I kind of started over here. But we should have this figured out now. Basically, the crux of what we did was twofold. Using the administrate approach here, we can tell that it's using administrate because of this here. And we're adding a reason humanized attribute, and that will correspond with a method that will be called on this model. So if we go to portfolio transaction, we added a reason humanized method here, and this just uses the lonely operator on the reason field and calls humanize on it. So this is a Rails feature, I believe. I don't think this comes with Ruby. But at any rate, we do have it available here, and that's how that works. And then to change the labels that they actually show up as, otherwise they would just show up as the method name in a humanized form, we can change that from amount sense to just amount, and then reason humanized, which is our method, to just reason. And then if I go ahead and refresh, we can see that this is working apparently how we need it to. Oh, we also removed the portfolio ID here. We still have it here, but the issue was not super clear on that because I only see one portfolio here. I imagine it needs to be both as I'm looking at this. So yeah, I'll go ahead and remove this, and then we should be good to push this. And then if they need us to make any changes, we will do that. But hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of what it took to get to this point. We verified that all of the tests are passing. If they need us to change it, because what we have in the ticket is this here, and this is showing for some reason, so I'm not sure what the differentiation is there. But this looks like it's what we need. It matches the ticket the closest, portfolio transaction. So we will go ahead and push this, and if we need to make any changes, I will update the video. Otherwise, hopefully we can mark this as our 4th pull request, and we'll get the other 2 done ASAP. So I will update very shortly with either this one or the next issue that we start to take on. Okay, so we have an update on our next pull request that we are going to submit here for Hacktoberfest. We were assigned the same, or not the same, a different issue from the same repository, the Stocks in the Future repository that we've been working on. And this is just going to be a change to make this responsive. This element here is not getting the proper styles on it. So they basically told us what exactly we needed to do. And I will go ahead and I've actually already fixed this, but I will show you what it looks like here before we do that. So basically, this is what they're looking at here on this breakpoint. There's the announcements overlaps, and it should just stack nicely. So I will just go back to the branch that I just pushed, refresh, and we can see that this is nice and responsive now. So the only thing that we had to change here was literally this line. We just changed, they've already have it configured for Tailwind CSS, so none of that needed to be adjusted, or there's no style sheets or anything like that. We literally just had to change the breakpoint settings here for the margin on that wrapper. And the maintainer made it aware that that's what he was looking for, so that was like kind of a hint. So another nice and easy fix here that we should hopefully get under our belt. And if I go to my forked version of the repository, I can go ahead and open up a pull request like we've been doing, and I will fill this out to the best of my ability. I've just been putting this here for their template, fixes responsiveness on mobile for the home page. Let's just say all viewports for the announcement element on the home page. Sure. And we will go ahead and link the issue. And I've got a few of them going here. That's why I have a hard time finding them. Okay, resolves that one. And then it is asking for a screenshot here, and we can easily add that. And then I will go ahead and acknowledge all of these checkboxes here. Okay, and then we should be good to go. So as of right now, I think we have 5 total pull requests, 3 of which are still waiting to be reviewed, but DigitalOcean is only picking up one of them. So we have 2 confirmed plus 1 in review, and then there's another 2 on top of that I think we have. So I think in theory, if they all get approved in time, we should just need 1 more pull request. And I should have this lined up with a completely different repository here. I was trying to keep it a little spread out so that we would get some diversity here. And this is a completely different repository that I found using that filter, the search like params that I showed earlier in the video. And this one doesn't have a Hacktoberfest tag on it, so that's why I saved this one for last in case he doesn't want to do that. I might not get the credit for the Hacktoberfest event, but and he didn't mention it here as I asked him, so a little worried about that, but I'm sure we'll be able to figure something else out if this one doesn't pan out. I will go back to being heads down. We have a total of 4 days before we are going to be at the deadline. And if you'll notice, we also have a subathon starting on Halloween. It's our 1-year stream anniversary / subathon event that we're putting on. So for the next few videos, you'll see this here on the stream because I'm streaming right now and we're just recording. So I'll go ahead and get this all figured out, and then I'll wrap up another thing and we'll get this taken care of. I really hope we're getting get enough pull requests in to snag that t-shirt. Well, everyone, I think I either didn't record the last footage or I misplaced the last footage, but it is now December. It's almost Christmas. It's been 2 months since I've been working on this. Things have been hectic. I apologize, but I wanted to make a video wrapping this up. We did successfully finish Hacktoberfest. We received the t-shirt, which I will debut now. Hacktoberfest in the bag. So we did the damn thing. If you guys want to see my badges here, I guess Holopin is like the badge thing here. It's kind of like some Metroid Prime style badges that I got for all this, but this is pretty cool. I've got a super contributor. I'm in the 5 badge club, and I made it to level 5. So I guess that's kind of what that means and everything. Super exciting stuff. I'm glad we were able to finish that. This shirt is incredible. Let me switch over to the professional cam here. Okay, you can see it much easier now. And hopefully my man titties aren't making it so that it's disgusting. But this is a really cool shirt. Really fun process. The biggest takeaway from this that I had is just getting used to other people's code. That's the best thing about open source development is you get to see what other people are thinking. There's a million different ways to do almost everything, and to see what other people are doing, what they're working on, what they're struggling with, it is an absolute wealth of knowledge, and that is really the biggest benefit of open source software. So Hacktoberfest 25 in the bag. If you guys watch this video, please smash it with a thumbs up. Go in there, type a comment, even if it's just, hey, Johnny, I watched the whole video. I need to see engagement on these videos. I need to get that juice, and I need you to deliver it. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for me to find the motivation to continue to make these videos, and I love making these videos. So, in summation, Hacktoberfest 25 in the bag. We got the t-shirt. We've got the pins. We are good to go. This is Johnny signing out. Please join our Discord. Join our Twitch channel. Follow it right now at twitch.tv/oddjob, and I will see you in the next Higher Theory video. You've been great. I've been Johnny. I will see you in the next video.